students, if you will join us, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and we have been sharing both our vision, mission, and core beliefs, and we've been taking turns each month, and this month it is our vision and mission statement. Engaging, educating, empowering everyone every day. The Bloomfield School District engages our students in learning, educates our students in academic and life skills, empowers our students for the future, and embraces everyone's differences every day. All right, our next order of business is recognition from the Bloomfield Elementary School.
Don't have a whole lot. It's July, so it's just kind of dealing with construction, obviously, trying to get all that squared away, getting some of our classes set up, things like that, and trying to get our enrollment thing set up as well. So my biggest thing is just thanking everybody for their patience, because with this construction, you know, sometimes things go really well and other things aren't coming through like they should. So our goal is to start on day one and start full force, but you know, we may be starting, you know, in boxes in some rooms. We'll see how that works out. So just, you know, asking for everyone's patience as we go through. We'll get into this and it'll be all right. I don't know if any of you have been over there yet or not, but you know, the office area is ready to go, carpeting's in, all that kind of stuff, but we're missing some furniture. It's just not here yet. Classrooms, floors are down. Furniture is here, it's arrived, and it's going to be, they told me there's 4 semi-loads coming, so one each day. I think it's one today, 2 tomorrow, and I think 1 on Monday, I think, coming. So we'll be getting all the classroom furniture in the E hall as soon as we can. That hall is ready to go, and then F hall is a little bit behind, but we'll be ready hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday to get furniture in there as well. So not a lot of recognitions, just kind of a quick update on my part as far as that goes. Just having to hire some personnel as well. We have some aide positions that we have to fill because a couple of them got hired full time, or one of them did anyway, and then some others want to step down so they could pursue family things. So that's really all I have.
Registration.
What's that?
Registration.
Tomorrow. Well, yeah, enrollment. Yeah, enrollment. Yeah, tomorrow is online, and then Monday and Tuesday. Monday 8 to 3, and Tuesday what we say is 11 to 7. Yeah, 11 to 7. So hopefully get some more students enrolled now that we're back into the office there. So big question mark, as always, is always kindergarten. You know, you have the roundup there before school's out sometime in April. There we did roundup and had 40-ish that signed up. We picked up about 12 more since then. So we're sitting at 52. But enrollment, I've been here 2 years, and both years it's always down to the last second. Even I think last year we picked up 8 or 9, I think, after school started. So those numbers are always kind of tricky, so we're watching those pretty close to make sure we get the right personnel, right amount of personnel in there, and number of teachers if we need, things like that. So we have a pretty big first grade class, 84, I think it is in that class. So that was a pretty big kindergarten class. That was a class that we had a lot come into after school started as well. So I remember the first year I was here, Mandy Montgomery was talking to me, and Mandy McIntosh. Sorry, I don't know where Montgomery comes from. Anyway, do not tell her I said that. But anyway, I remember her telling me, you know, I was looking at 3 teachers as opposed to 4, and I was new here, and I went with 3, and she's like, "You're making a mistake. You're making a mistake. You can always double it. You can always double it." I thought she was crazy. She was right. I was wrong. So it's a tricky one, you know. So we're kind of working for that. So we're hoping for big enrollment numbers as well at this time. So
if I forget to register tomorrow, can I still do it on the weekend?
Well, yours was already here, so we're good to go.
Right.
It's just a matter. Yeah, you can. Once online is open, it's open. So okay. We're expecting yours here regardless.
Yeah,
unless we're told otherwise, we expect them to return.
He'll be here.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'm gonna forget tomorrow. Fridays are crazy.
Yeah, it's really, the big thing is kindergarten, because they haven't been here before, and any new students, that's the big thing. The other ones, we fully expect that they're going to return unless we hear otherwise. So we're good to go.
But they still need to update.
They need to,
stuff
because they need to
on
update
our-
everything.
But
Yeah,
you can do it online.
right. So anyone that was here last year can do it online and just update their stuff and they're good to go.
Yeah, high school now.
Yeah, sure thing. So we are, again, kind of like Mike said, not a whole lot as far as, all of what has been occurring as far as school, other than the construction. On our wing, it's the D hallway. It's got new flooring, new paint. I talked to the movers out there today, and our semi will be here probably Monday with that, possibly, wishful thinking, maybe tomorrow, and they start staging the D hallway. So we have that to look forward to, and then of course they were over here today taking some measurements on cabinets and stuff as to what to do and where they're going to get going on that. Number one, tonight we're going to hire some outstanding people. One who's in attendance here to my left. And, we had some people leave and go to other positions, but we have filled them, and we are excited to have people that are excited to be here. So we're looking forward to that. We do have one position that we're in talks with on a part-time math, and we're not the only person, we're not the only school. Teachers are a shortage. There is a teacher shortage, and we're very lucky to have quality people coming on board this year. We're very excited about that. A couple of individual recognitions I want to shout out to, and I may forget one here. One is Brett Sherrard. He was a 1A All-State in baseball, and his summer's been very busy playing around the nation. I know he was in Atlanta for a week, and he's been here and there, but if my memory serves me right, he is the 4th baseball player to be named All-State here at Bloomfield. I really debated if it was 5 or 4, and I'm just not sure about one down the line there, but I'll try to find out. But really happy for Brett and excited for him. I'm super excited about Miss Megan Bailey. Megan Bailey is a graduate now. She did not meet her graduation requirements, so she was unable to walk at commencement. And she persevered, came to summer school, hammered out 2 credits that she was short on. And on the day before the last day of summer school, she passed her last class and got that, and went home and changed clothes and came back, and we had an impromptu ceremony up at the office. And it was really touching. Her mom came, who's been ill, and Megan was really excited, and we were excited for her.
She gave a nice speech too.
She gave a nice speech.
She voluntarily said, "I want to give a speech."
That's right. Voluntarily, I'm going to give a speech. I said, "You've earned it." But just really proud of Megan and all the perseverance that she's shown, certainly throughout her high school career, but more importantly, just this last year, which was difficult for several students. And we all know what all we dealt with from COVID and everything. But that's why we're in this business, is for kids like Megan. And I can't name individuals because it's that, but our AP scores came back, and our English 10 AP scores were outstanding. And we had a person get a perfect score, and we had several 3s and 4s. So shout out to there were some freshmen and sophomores both in that class that did well. And so we've notified them, and they were very excited about that. So, we're bringing in new people tonight, and we'll have more celebrations certainly as the year goes along. I'm looking forward to that. But just really happy for Megan and of course Brett and our new staff members coming on board tonight. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, our next agenda item is public comments on the reentry plan.
Let's see, sign in.
Did
You,
you sign? She signed it, didn't she?
I didn't sign in, but I'll make sure I do it.
Okay.
I have a question. It's not going to be a popular question. But I just want to know if they're gonna, if the agenda is gonna include that CRT stuff.
No, it's not on the agenda. Nope.
Thank you. That was my concern, because I have I have friends all over, their schools are doing it, and the parents are pulling the kids out of school all over, other places in the country. Yeah, that's good. Yay,
It's not part of the curriculum.
thank you.
Okay, and is there any public comments on the rest of the agenda? All right, seeing none, we will go on to the consent agenda.
Yeah, so you've got the meeting minutes from last meeting. Any questions on those? And we've got the treasurer's report, our statements from June. And any questions on the budget from June? And then personnel, we got a whole host of personnels. The non-certified hire, certified hire, internal transfers, resignations. And then we've got our ECA, middle and high school extracurricular activity positions listed there, as well as our elementary ECA positions as well. Any questions on those?
I would like to say, if that's okay, we have one of our new hires here in attendance tonight, Miss Lexi Graves. And Lexi is going to be taking over middle school science for us. Lexi is a graduate of Butler University, December of 20, am I correct on that? She has a major in biology, and she has already passed her praxis scores, but she is going to be enrolling in a transition to teaching program for the methodology classes, which she's probably already knowing her signed up for, and for an emergency license. And she's going to be part of our middle school team and our new tech team. So we're happy to have Lexi join Bloomfield.
Sorry, but I was just gonna ask, how does that work? The transition to teaching?
Yeah, so several universities do it online, in person. And I mean, that's just like regular coursework that they're taking. The state, you have to have a bachelor's degree, minimum of a bachelor's degree to apply for an emergency license. And
It
then,
doesn't have to be in that
No.
field. So.
no, it does not. And so they have to show progress from year to year that they're working towards, it would be number one, passing the praxis course for the test, for the state test, for the content area. And then
Does that usually take like 2 years or?
depends on where the person's at, depends on what they have as far as their background.
Right.
And where they have to go on that. So it might vary. They used to have it, back in the day, there was a limit. There was like a 3-year limit on emergency license. Now they just do it annually, and you just have to show that progress. So that way it may take a year for one or 2 for another. It may take, 3 to 4 for another person.
If I may, the ones that I've been looking at are mostly like a 10-month program.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice.
that's great.
Are they like online, I'm guessing?
The ones that I've seen, yes, just for them is the easiest, with
Right.
everything that's going on.
Sure. I mean, you don't have time to go to school.
Right.
Yeah, those are the ones that I've really focused on, yeah.
Thank you.
And I believe I'll also be helping with tennis, tennis programs as well, so.
Next month.
Okay, so we have a recommendation here. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, and a second? All right, all in favor? All in favor? Yeah, thank you. All right, other business, the updated reentry plan.
Yeah, so we have that in the public content, as well as posted online. Mentioned it in our school newsletter as well. But here just kind of clicks on that link that's posted online, we've got it on the screen here. And just talks about us being in person, and talks about our cleaning protocol, what to do with COVID symptoms, and if someone's COVID positive, there's a link that Nurse Renee put together there. And as well as visitors and training, hand washing, seating charts, clinic, masks, water bottles, just the different headlines here and our activities and schedules and what we're doing in the classroom in there. So it's been out on the public. I don't know if we need to go through it in all detail, but probably the big questions are, we're going to follow the governor's mandate of masks optional. And we are going to follow, what we're mandated to do and given the freedom that we're given as well. In this case, it's mask optional. So we're continuing with that, but we all know in this COVID world that things are subject to change. And we will pay attention to what's going on locally in our state, in our county, and make adjustments as needed. We try to keep this very practical and straightforward with room to adjust with what's going on in the world. And that's what this plan entails. Is there any questions about specific parts? I felt like I didn't know what to get into too much detail about, so I just kind of gave a broad summary, and I guess let you guys initiate if you have any specific questions.
So, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. Do we have any action on that? Or?
The action on that is to approve the reentry plan.
Okay, so we have a recommendation to approve. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll motion.
Okay, and a second? All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. And the next agenda item, the elementary student textbook workbook fees.
Yeah, we had approved the fees already. Can't remember if that was the June or the May board meeting, to be honest. Previous board meeting, we approved the textbook fees, and we got science textbooks in 4th grade. So all he's doing is asking for the change in that, adding the cost of the rental of the science textbook fees. So it'll be additional, I believe, $14 is what it says on the $14 to $15 on the 4th grade book rental for the 4th grade science textbooks.
Okay, you have a recommendation to approve. Can I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
All right, thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? All right, thank you. And then also the middle school, high school textbook rental editions.
Yeah, again, we approved those previously. At that point, did not have the student handbook costs on there or an additional novel. Ms. Fowl wants to add, and so asking for the additional.
Okay. Do I have a motion? And a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? All right, thank you. And now the iLearn iStep AP score summaries.
Yeah, I've asked Mr. Riddle and Mr. Dean just to kind of give a summary of those that have been, they're public. You can go on the DOE site and look at the data, but thought we should just give a summary of the data from our iLearn, iStep, and AP scores. Go ahead, Mr.
Do
Riddle.
you have mine up there on the slideshow?
I can.
And I shared mine with you as well.
I just know Mike, you were to get to it here. We're not showing
I
all
can
my
put mine
emails
up.
publicly, but here,
How are you? Good, man. How are you
I
doing?
get a lot of emails from you, Mike.
Presentation.
At least you know he's read them.
They're all under the
There
ignore.
aren't near as many there as there should be, so you might have deleted them. I can hook mine up, I just didn't think you wanted to. Let me resend it.
Above Winifred
just
it
not-
said presentation.
That one?
I don't know if it's, I don't know.
There's resend it to you.
Yeah, that'd be easier. It is.
All right, so I tried to break these up a few different ways, just kind of give you guys a look at it. If you go to the next slide, what I think I'm doing here is I'm comparing ELA pass rates. All right, so we're not talking about growth. We're not talking about anything like that. It's They either hit that mark of passing or not, to the state average. And if you take a look at this in third grade, ELA, we're a little behind state average. Same thing with fourth grade, same thing with sixth grade. Fifth grade, however, is above state average on pass rates. Move on to the math area. Try to show the same bar graph. Third grade, fourth grade, and sixth grade are behind, not real far behind. I'm not sure what happened in fifth grade there. We have pretty low score pass rates in fifth grade. I will tell you, and not to take away from these numbers, but when I looked at, I've been going through them as much as I can here. So I haven't got through every grade level, but I was looking at fifth grade in particular because of the low scores. And when they give you these scores, you know, you've got, you know, green if you are, actually blue if you're pass plus, green if you're pass, yellow if you are at approaching, or red, which is not good. So you look at the yellows a lot of times. You know, when I'm looking at data, when I talk about data with teachers, we talk about the kids that are in those yellow areas because, you know, a lot of times when you want to say have somebody score, you know, they typically tell you if you're within 10 points, you know, you look at those really tight. So what I did was I looked at our fifth grade, and all I looked for were the kids that were within 5 points. And there were 7. And when I looked at those 7 and I added, you know, if they were to have gotten those 5 points, that would have jumped us 11% just on those 5 points because of how small that class is as well. So not taken away from this because that's not good, but there are several that could have been 1 or 2 questions that they messed up on that could have made a huge difference. So as a team, we're going to have to hit that. We're going to have to look at that data. We're going to have to hit it a lot harder, make sure that our kids are understanding, or when we understand why they're not getting some of these answers, why they're not doing well on this test. So that fifth grade one's pretty low. The others are fairly close to them, but still behind state averages. I think the next one's science and social studies. So you can take a look at here now. In fifth grade, we're above state average in science. So in fifth grade, in ELA and science, we were above state average. So we were below in the other grade levels there as well. So not great scores. You know, you want to stay really close to that state average if you can. Across the state, they were down. There were a few schools that did well, but for the most part, most schools were very similar. Now, in the next 4 or 5 slides here, I did some line graphs just looking at our local schools and kind of comparing to those. The blue line is mathematics. The red line is English. Don't pay attention to the fact that the scores in mathematics is higher than English because they're scored differently. So you just got to kind of look at it and compare. And math, we're low. I mean, we need to do a better job mathematically to get our kids prepared for this. ELA, we're right there with the others. We're close. Across the board, you got a couple of schools a little higher, but for the most part, we're all right there together. So we're fairly comparative to the other third grades in the other schools. Going to the fourth grade, here's a little bit more. You got a third one there. Science is purple. So you can kind of look, we are on the far left. So some schools in mathematics shot up pretty high in ELA, but mathematically, again, we're struggling a little bit. ELA, we're about middle of the pack when you look at those scores. Some of them are a little bit higher, some of them are right there with us. Science, again, lower end, but about middle of the pack. Okay, go to fifth grade. And again, in fifth grade, you're going to see, like I said, we were a little higher in some of those areas. So when you look at this one, mathematically, again, we were low. But when you look at ELA and social studies, we're up there pretty high. So we did pretty well in fifth grade. Go on to sixth grade. And so here we go again, sixth grade. Mathematics, so across the board, we struggled mathematically in our school compared to the other local ones. ELA, still kind of low, bottom 2 or 3, and then science, again, same thing. So sixth grade was about the same across the board. And then I think the last one, I just kind of did an overall 3 through 6. You got one more slide there. And that's kind of how we compared overall when you put all the grade levels together. So again, you know, look at the blue, we're a little low. That's math, science. So our math and our science, we need to do a little bit better job. Our social studies and our English, we fared pretty well. We're average with the area schools in that area, somewhere higher, somewhere lower. but we're sitting right in that the middle area right there. So something that as a staff, we need to look at, we need to figure out why, we need to get some data points and attack those areas in our school. So overall numbers are low across the state, but you want to, when they're low like that, you want to make sure that you're competitive in that area. So we've got a little bit of work to do there. Any questions for me? Those were I think that was it, right? That's all the graphs that I have. You guys have any questions for me on that?
I just want to say we're going to use this as a baseline to move forward, to grow, and to evaluate what we're doing well and what we aren't doing as well, and want to see our desires to see growth, significant growth in our state compared to state average and compared to schools similar to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what my question is gonna be, when you look at those, when that might be that far below one of our
Right.
other local schools, do you find out, like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
That could be different from what we're doing, I
On
guess.
what are the other schools doing?
Yeah, if we,
Yeah. For
I
the
mean,
most
do you
part,
collaborate that way? Like,
We can, and we do from time to time. I'll call their local principals and say, what programs do you have set in place? How are you doing this? Data-wise, what it really, in my opinion, what it really comes down to is focus. As a data team, we have to sit down, we have to look at how our kids did, use that as a baseline, and then throughout the school year, we need to be tracking that ourselves. That needs to become a focus. And when I look at this, I see that ELA and social studies are more of a focus than, say, math and science. We got to figure that out as a team. Okay, what are we not doing? I think we have good teachers, but what is the focus? You know what I'm saying? So but you use data points to do that. And to use data points, you've got to be giving them these things repeatedly. You know what I mean? So, when I was looking at some of those math, I gave the iStep to some kids there as well. When I was looking at some of the math questions, there is a lot of 2, 3, 4-part questions, even in 3rd grade math. Are we teaching that in the classroom? We're covering the basics, but are we going deeper? Because they are on iLearn. So the iLearn test is different than the iStep was. It is. Are we adapting with that, and are we making that our focus? And so this year, when we're sitting in our data meetings, that's something that we're going to push hard, that I'm going to push hard, is I want to see that we're doing that in the classroom, and I want to see how those data points are hitting, and are our kids growing in those areas? Are we mimicking those types of questions? It's not, it's not teaching to the test necessarily, but it's getting your kids prepared. Can they think logically? Can they think multi-step problems? Because on that iLearn, there's a lot of reading, even on the math portion. So can they put reading and math together and understand that they go hand in hand? So I think it's a focus that we have to hit a little harder. When I got here that first year, our scores were kind of low. Second year, we didn't take it. And we took it this year again, and here we are. So it's something that now it's on me to get my teachers together and as a team come together and say, all right, look, where's our focus? How are we going to attack math, English, science, and some social studies and others were tested, but how are we going to attack that? One of the big reasons we wanted these science books and stuff is our books were 20-some years old. They need some of this new and updated language because the verbiage matters. How we are presenting these problems matter. Are our kids seeing this over and over and over again so it becomes natural to them? Because that's going to be the key. So it's not only a learning curve for the kids, but it's also a learning curve for the way we teach. And that's something we have to change a little bit. Right. So,
well, and I want to talk about too, this has been a weird 2 years, as we know, and you don't want to make any excuses, but if there's going to be excuse, COVID excuse. And it is, I know this is comparative, but we're still going to be held harmless. My understanding is this isn't going to hurt our grade or anything because of the unique circumstances. But for us, I think all 3 of us as administrators are competitive. So we don't have scores at state average or above state average, and we're kind of right with or below. area schools, it's bothersome. But at this point though, you know, in our unique circumstances, this is gonna be the baseline for us moving forward. What do we need to focus on? What do we need to get better at in these learning scores? You'll see in a little bit though, our ISTEP scores are off the chart, so that's a weird dynamic too. You know, our ILEARN scores are good, but our ISTEP scores are the top 10 in the state, so.
But I do
Yeah.
want to say that this is going to be a big focus this year. You know, this is the first real data that I've gotten since I've been here. And this is going to be, you know, the first time they took ILEARN two years ago, it was new. You know, and so those scores were what they were. Second year, we didn't take it all, and here we are again. So I really feel like as a staff, it's our job to figure out how to present our material, covering our standards in a way that our kids will be able to take this test and do better on, because we are judged on it. We are. So we have to do a better job, and that's going to be our focus.
Do the
Right.
teachers see the tests? Like, do they have an opportunity to go through and read the questions and get an idea of how they're worded?
Not
and-
beforehand.
Not,
Not
but,
beforehand, but now that they will be released at some point, and we will be able to utilize those types of questions. And we need to do a good job of taking those and creating our own based off of what we see. Not just constantly giving our kids the same questions. You know, you want them to see different questions, but learn how to do it, not necessarily just regurgitate something that they've seen 100 times, right? So I think that's the key, but that's going to be very helpful for the kids. And we've got a couple things that we've looked at. We've a couple programs. We used a summer program that did a good job of targeting kids' deficiencies, if you will, and giving them lots and lots of practice on that. So when we try to build something into our day, it's called What I Need Time, When Time, where they have to spend a half hour basically attacking deficiencies in their learning. And for the kids that are up there in that Pass Plus, we need to be pushing them harder. So you use this program, I think, is going to be a good program for that if we choose to go with that one. And then we have another program that we've used last year, probably not to the best that we can, but it kind of mimics, it's the same company that built ILEARN. And so you get that verbiage, you get that kind of stuff, but we obviously need to do a better job with it if we're going to stick with that program. So we got a couple of those things. It's not just the program. It is a way, it's a focus. It's a focus on how you teach things and how you present those things to kids. And that's a learning curve, like I said, not just for the kid, but for the teacher as well. You know, because they've done ISTEP for how many years, and I guess they got good at it. And then it changed. And now we have to change with that.
right. Like you take an SAT or whatever, and you study those same questions over and over and over again and learn how they're worded.
Yeah. It's not fun to stand up here and present low scores.
It is
So
not
I do
the
not
same-
want to
it
do
is
that
not the
again.
same test as ISTEP. It is
It's not.
definitely a
It's
multi-level, higher level, critical thinking, problem solving, multi-step, and we'll have to figure out how we can get our kids to, so school's about student learning, and they've raised the bar on that, and we've gotta get there.
And that'll be our focus. And we'll get there. So, all right.
Okay, so coming right up after Mike, you know, I learned similar type things. So I'm going to just kind of talk briefly and elaborate maybe just a little bit on pieces of what Mike talked about. One is, you know, when I came onto this position, you know, 2009, I remember looking at our scores back then as ISTEP. And I remember Stella and I sitting in her office one day about 5 o'clock after school and just saying, what can we do? We've got to make this a focal point. And we thought, we made some connections, and, you know, from that point on, we started and we got it. I felt like we had it. Our scores climbed each year. You know, letter grade wise, we were right there where we wanted to be in the A range, and you know, things were good. The state then, you know, changes to ILEARN, and that changed the whole complexion of what we're doing, what we had been doing in our system, and what we do. You know, we had to reteach ourselves. And, you know, over the last few years, we've had some things that have not made it smooth or seamless. And so now, as Dr. Lehman mentioned, this being our baseline data, Mike mentioned to you, we do a clear sight, which is our formative assessment. And, we have to learn how to utilize that data. It's not just taking practice tests, but it's taking the data from those practice tests and analyzing it and seeing where those kids are as far as the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and the end of the year. The end of the year being the I-Learn, but where are they at the beginning? Are they approaching proficiency? Are they proficient? Are they above proficiency? Are they below? And then growing them throughout the year. And so that comes with, collaboration and teamwork and, with our new tech. So with the middle school, we have that middle school concept coming in now with the team. Our 6, 7, 8 team, it's all combined. And we've got the new tech, which we're implementing year 2. And there's a lot of similarities there. So a lot of the things that we have on the table, and as Mike mentioned, it's a focus, a refocus of what we've been doing and what has been. We had the Ready Schools grant 3 years ago, and the data that we got from that, dictated what we did. It created our makery, right? Among other subtle changes that we had, but it also brought new tech for our middle school. And one of the things that I remember from that was people felt like we were over-tested. But we don't have control of that. There are just tests, there are guidelines by the state that we have to follow. And so we have to find that happy medium to where we are drilling in with the data. We have an understanding of what we're testing over. Our kids are seeing it routinely, weekly, bell ringers each day. And they have, some type of I-Learn related question that helps them with that. And the more they see it, the more they practice it, and the more our teachers are drilling towards that, you will see our scores rise. So with this being our baseline year, that's what we want to look at. Another thing is curriculum. And one of the things that in the past 5 years, the junior senior high went through a curriculum consortium through SIEC, which is Southern Indiana Educational Center down at Jasper. And that focused on math and language arts. And we took that content material, the process, and brought it back to the other classes. And just, over the years, that kind of wanes. Well, that's another focal point. That's something that we're going to make a point of emphasis this year is curriculum mapping and getting ourselves in this, unlike a larger district where we might have 4 teachers teaching algebra or English 9 or world history. We have 1. We've got an English 9 teacher, we've got an algebra 1 teacher, we've got a world history teacher. So it's kind of siloed that way, but they're still within departments. So they're going to be working on and creating curriculum maps that is specific to them, what works for them, to show that vertical alignment of what they're doing and where they are going to be, throughout the year. So it's really just getting a refocus back. Last year we started the school year. I don't you remember. I mean, it was we had countless reentry plan meetings. We were all nervous as what was it going to be like, how was it going to go. It started out pretty good, and then in the middle of the year we were like, oh, this is what we were expecting. And then at the end it kind of loosened up a little bit. I don't know what this year is going to bring, but from a standpoint from my staff and really the district staff is some normalcy getting back in the kids as well. So with that normalcy comes opportunities to drill into the data, work on your curriculum and what we're going to do. And so just kind of laying that out there, kind of give you an idea. That's the focus of what we're going to be doing. And no longer junior senior high school, it's Bloomfield Middle and High School. Easy way to say that. Okay, so Dr. Lane, if we'll just go on there. So this is the junior high. Of course, this is grade 7 and 8. You can see where we were at as far as ELA scores. A little short there on grade 7, a little closer there on grade 8. Not so much different as the elementary. Really, when in comparison, which you'll see a little bit here and a few other slides with the other schools. Math, a little closer, 27.1 to the state average, 28.6. And then grade 8, we were above math at 35 and 27.8. You go to the next one, that's the combined, how many students both combined math and language arts passed. You can see there, grade 7, 0.3 of a point, and about 3.8 percentage points on grade 8. So we're right there, right? But we're not where we want to be. And again, I feel like I'm back again in 2010, talking about ISTEP scores and where we were as far as a building. Okay, go ahead, Trent. So the next, you can just see it there, did a little color coding. So if you're familiar with our county schools and our school colors, you can see there. Now, unfortunately, these next 3 slides, this slide and the next 2, I don't know what's happening. It's evidently something I've clicked in editing it, but it's not showing my percentages. But you can see how they compare. That first one was, what was that, Trent? Can you go back one? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, all right. So there's ELA, and that's grade 7. And you can see how, and it's not only the county schools, but we threw in a couple of surrounding schools that are close, one to the north and one to the south there. And you can kind of see we're above where we're at, but compared to the others, we need to be better. All right, go ahead, Trent. The 8th grade, a little bit more even for the county and where we're at. Next will be math, and that is 8th grade math. And you can see where we are at as compared to the other county schools. And then the next one will be grade 7 math. And you can see here now my editing, whatever, I did mess that up. And you can see that the numbers are right there. Terry, you asked the question, do you talk about and talk to others? We meet now, of course, this last year was the exception, but the high school and the secondary principals, middle and high school, we meet monthly. We usually go to Pizza Hut at Linton, it's kind of a central location, or Casa down here, just have kind of working lunch and talk through things. Data is a piece of that. And when we were, back when it was ISTEP, we were talking, we were talking to each other, what are you doing to get your scores where they're at? And so that data and that information is certainly shared. And we've had a long-standing partnership with M.A. Rooney. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not. You may not be. It's a free service. There's no charge to us. And that was one of the connections that we made back in 2010, was with Ann Harpole, Ann Puckett Harpole. We refer to her as Ann PH. She, and since Mike's been here, she meets with us quarterly, maybe a little bit more frequent. And she was a guru of ISTEP. We were her first school. And now she works with, I don't know, several hundred schools in Indiana throughout the state. And so, connections like that and keeping current on what, she was the one that turned us on to ClearSight, because she knew that, ClearSight is, they're the company, Airways, that produces the iLearn and so forth. So to answer your question, I mean, that kind of, we were sharing information, and even through SIEC, the connections that we make there, Du Bois County principals, I communicate frequently with Principal Prairie Central, Jody French. They're a lot like our size in school. They do a lot of the same things that we do. They're an early college, high school. They have a lot of things that we share in common. So that collaboration there is definitely an integral piece when talking about really all facets of school, but data being one of them as well. Go ahead, Trent. Oh, wait. I'm sorry, did you have something?
No, I just
Oh,
said
just
thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, no problem. Next one should be grade 8, ELA and math.
It's grade 7.
Oh, it's grade 7? Oh, I'm sorry, you already made the change. All right, so you can see that, and again, combine ELA and math. And then grade 8, and you can see that. Ann always refers to this as the Indianapolis Star Review. If you remember, Mike said at the beginning, this does not show growth. This is just, hey, this is your 8th grade. Hey, this is your 7th grade. This is what your scores are, and this is how they compare. But if you really see growth, how did they grow from 7 to 8? How did they grow from 3rd, 4th, 5th, and so forth like that?
And we don't have that
Cohorts.
information.
Right, yeah, we don't have, right.
You got cohorts and groups that are just stronger than others too.
That's true. I'll throw you. So we're done with that. That's the end of the junior high thing. So next, what we have here, and this is the last year. So what a way to go out on top, right? Top 10% in the state of Indiana. I'm proud of that.
Period.
Period.
90%.
That's right. So this is it's grade 10. So I don't know if you remember, but I'll give you a short brief history lesson. COVID hit, right? March 2020. Our 10th graders, which will now be seniors, had finished part 1 of the ISTEP completely. We had 100% completion of part one. We were doing, in fact, we were getting ready that next week, we would have been knocking out part two, and we would be done. But the shutdown came, and so the state said, okay, we're going to retest, because we still have seniors, last year's seniors, that would be retesting. So our juniors will be retesters. So we retested the entire junior class. Okay. Now, those, I'll just tell you a little side note here, those that did not pass this year, any of those that are, whoever's in that 15.8%, they will retake it again this year. All right, so they'll have the opportunity to score. And of course, if they pass the I-step, they don't need a pathway. They've met their graduation requirement other than the diploma requirement. Now, if they don't, they still have the pathway. But you can see here, 84.2% of our 11th graders passed, compared to state average is 65.9. Again, top percent. So really proud of them. And you know what? Not surprising. Strong class, really are. And you know those. You see those when they come rolling through. This is math, and you can see where we're at there. They're 60.3% compared to state average of 37%. And then finally, the last one there is, now I am going to compare against the others as well. This is the combined ELA and math, and you can see the comparison there with that. So, really, I mean, I am proud of what they exceeded what I thought they would do. I knew they would be strong, but they exceeded what I thought. And, that goes to, this is, so they're juniors, so, but that's, Mrs. Wilson, Mrs. Potts, Miss Evans, and Matt, and not only that in their junior high with Miss Rod, when she was here, of course, and that, it's Miss Fowle and Miss Franklin and Mitch, and, all those go into that, those teachers. So really proud of that. This is a comparison for ELA for the county and our surrounding schools. The next one we're going to show you is math. Same way with that, and you can see where county schools sit with that. And then the last one is the combined ELA and math. So in comparison with that. So, when these kids were starting, that's when we had it rolling, right? We knew what we were looking for. We knew the process that we had. Our data walls. Our teachers knew what. I mean, we had the way to pull the data and see how we work. They used to have a matrix report, and that was just something that showed all the standards that were covered. And it's pretty easy. If it was green, we covered it and moving on. If it was white, either hadn't covered it or need to be retaught. Those are the kind of things that we got to find again, that data that's useful and pertinent to what we're doing. And that's with the item. Yeah, for the item. I'm sorry. I-step this is it. The senior classes will be it, the last three testers. The juniors, the SAT will be theirs. Now, the state's not giving us any guidance yet on what that's going to look like. But that's the funny thing about that, is because the SAT and the ACT, they're part of the graduation pathway anyway, with like a 3. That's one of the 8 competencies if they pass those. So we haven't got that information yet as far as the class of 2023 on down, what that's going to look like when it gets into high school. One thing I will say in relation to our school number, all right? So, I can't remember what is our middle school number, Trent? Remember? 2741?
247.
71?
I have it in here.
Huh? That's all right. I don't know. I just put you on the spot, didn't I? But
that's for reports, yes.
So what that does mean now is that our data will be separate, okay? So when we get a school grade now, or when we did get a school grade, when we were junior, senior high school, we had our iLearn data, or I-step data from grade 7 and 8, our I-step data from grade 10, our graduation rate, our college and career readiness competency, that was all part of it. And now that will be separated. So our middle school will have the iLearn data, and that's what it will have with that. And that's, the scores, pass plus, and so forth, and growth data with that. Our high school now will have the graduation rate. It'll have the college and career readiness attendance may be a part of it, but that will be separated out with our change into a middle and high school. I didn't know if you knew that, but that will do that.
2421,
2421,
the middle school number.
2419 and 2421.
And right now, the iLearn test, we just haven't taken enough to have growth data. That's the biggest issue. You had the 1 year that you didn't take it, you have it again, there just isn't any data at this point, growth wise. That'll be coming each time. So this is truly a baseline. It really is.
That's, Darren, you and Steve have been on the board for a while. You may remember we used to have a chart on the iStep, and it showed that, it had grades, and you can see we colored it down, and it would show that growth, and compare how they did.
All right, thank you. And the next agenda item is seamless summer option milk pricing.
Yes, so Marie Hassler presented just the changes in meal prices for next year. And also the seamless summer option allows for free breakfast and lunch for all students. And just asking for approval of the meal price changes, including the seamless summer option waiver for free meals.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
And a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All in favor? All right, thank you. And then increase cafeteria staff hours?
Yep, so Marie is also asking for an increase in cafeteria staff hours. There was a reduction in some of the staff, the number of staff, and so with current staff, she needs them to work more hours to help compensate for some of the loss of staff. So just asking for approval of that.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion? Okay, and a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Thank you.
I know for a fact Marie is watching, and I feel like we should hassle her a little bit and tell her she doesn't need the extra time, but we won't.
I'm not gonna
Love
say
you,
that.
Marie.
We love you, Marie.
And then also the proposed 5-star contract.
Yeah, so we go with 5-star for our technology, and it's been a positive relationship. Not only provide someone full-time for us, but when they get behind or we need engineering services, just recently they helped put up some safety cameras we bought. They have the resources to do that as well. And so it's been a positive, and it's time to renew that contract. And we could do a single year one, but that would cost basically what the third year would on this. So we're saving thousands of dollars if we sign a 3-year contract as opposed to an annual contract. So we're just asking for the 3-year option, approval of that 3-year option to sign the 5-star.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll move we approve.
You're gonna say something.
And a second, yeah.
An awkward silence.
Yeah.
I have a question before we do.
No, I thought he was gonna say
Oh,
something.
okay.
I was waiting for him to
Me too.
ask a
Just
question or
allergies.
something.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, thank you. And tax refund exchange compliance system?
Yeah, this is for some of our debts that are owed to the school, whether it's through textbook rental or other. Every year we lose thousands of dollars by not getting that. We try to go through small claims court, and that is just, we've heard that this new system is more effective in getting the dollars from debt. We've looked into that. Ms. Stacy Robinette has looked into it, and she really, and I've looked into it, called them, and we feel like this is something that would be beneficial to our school to recover debt. So basically, if there is school debt not paid, we would send a letter and tell, much like we do now, where we say small claims, instead it would be through this TREX program, through the government, which then would, if we did not get that within 30 days, we present it to TREX, and it would be eventually taken for their tax refund and put into an account for us.
Okay.
And I have the checklist and the MOU. We have to get the program to apply for this. We have to have memorandum of understanding that I attached there, and that then will allow us to apply for this. So it's not, we're not in it yet. We have to do this first to apply for it and get the program going. And I included the summary there as well. So any questions about that before I ask for approval?
Wish I could do that at work.
We do it at work.
Do you? Oh,
Okay, so we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, and a second? All right, thank you. All in favor? All right, thank you. And now for the budget workshop.
All right, budget workshop. So in that here, I'll just, I already have it open here. PowerPoint up here. I don't know why I did that. Did not go to the first page. All right, there's the first page. All right, budget presentation here for tonight for this year. And just kind of want to give you a rundown of the calendar. Tonight I'll be asking for approval to advertise the budget. And then we have to give a notice to the taxpayers by August 16th. And then have a public hearing on the budget that people can comment within 10 days of the notice to the taxpayers. And that notice is given on Gateway, which is a public system, and it will also be on our website. And then let them know that we'll have a public hearing on that, and then approval of that, the adoption of the budget in the September board meeting. All right, just to give a summary of our budget, it's 4 funds. The education fund, which is largely funded by student enrollment. The operation fund, which I'll go through, that does have a tax rate tied to it, and the debt service fund has a tax rate tied to it, and then a rainy day fund is basically a long-term savings, just in case it's happened before. The state could have funded us, and we need money to go to, or we have extra bills, just like a long-term savings at home in a sense, where you need that for maybe some people call that an emergency fund. Rainy day fund is kind of like that. All right, so talk about the education fund, largely determined by the state tuition, the basic tuition grant from the state that's based on enrollment. And we base our education budget on our average enrollment, and I guess in a sense our average decline, unfortunately, for the last 5 years has been 12 per year. So we based our education budget, last year our enrollment was 796. So we based it on 12 less than that on 784. You always want to, assume I don't know if the worst, or kind of go by the trends there. We're hoping the enrollment stays steady. The education fund will look a lot better if we don't go down to 12, and that's our hope. But we don't know that until registration here coming up in the first day of school, and those count days, I think September 17th this year, when that official numbers determined. All right, as far as cash balance in the education fund, it is strong. We're at 1.4 million, and that is a strong cash balance. They say, you want to be, around 15, 20% cash balance of our total budget, and we are. We did do deficit spending the last 2 years of 24,000, 30,000, but with how big that education fund, that is not bad. And especially when you have a cash balance like that, you can afford to be in a little bit of deficit spending. We don't want to continue to grow that, but that is considered pretty good, actually, considering how big that account is. A couple things that will affect our education fund this year is new teacher pay laws were passed this year. And one of it is you must use 45% of the education fund for teacher salary. And so we did the calculation, and last year we were at 46%. So we've been on track of using that education money for what it's supposed to be used for, largely teacher salaries. Then within 2 years, the other Indiana code that was passed is that all contracted teachers must make at least $40,000. Currently, our starting lowest teacher salary at Bloomfield is $33,000. So we will have to, in collective bargaining this year, we're gonna have to address how we're gonna get to that 40,000 within 2 years. The state has used a phrase called minding the gap, and it's really minding the gap between the lower paid teachers and the higher paid teachers, and shortening that gap a little bit. So we'll be looking at strategies to do that, but obviously we have to do that in collective bargaining with our teachers. But we'll have to come up with a plan to make sure we meet that criteria within 2 years. So that's the education fund. Any questions about the education fund?
I'm just walking the sun.
Oh,
It's right in my eye.
And then assumptions for the budget as we go into the operations budget and the other ones. There is some guesses. Obviously we don't know enrollment in the education fund, and we don't know how much for sure utilities is gonna go up, but a common thing to do is increase your utilities by 10%, insurance by 10%. And then obviously the education fund, we based on a 5-year average. And so we did a 12 decrease. We hope that doesn't happen again. And so the revenues, this is, what we, based on that 784 enrollment, what we get per child is what we expect to get from the state this year based on the 784 and based on the formula they use. And then expenditures, this is what we budgeted. This includes, an estimated, which you don't know until collective bargaining, but an estimate of what we may be able to pay teachers. So you see the difference there in the budget and the expected revenues. Of course, those revenues will be greater if we have more than 784 students. But that's what we budgeted in the education fund. For the debt service fund, we do get some revenues from miscellaneous revenues from the license excise, commercial vehicle, and financial institutions. But that's about it. And then you see what the expenditures are and the difference. Now the cash balance weighed in that too. So it's not exactly the difference between these two. They take into account what your cash balance is as well. But those help determine the tax rate. And so we are advertising a tax rate of basically 46 cents. That's per $100. Okay, so it's pretty small portion, small rate. All right, operation fund. All right, we get some miscellaneous revenues there, and then our anticipated expenditures. So that difference makeup. They don't look at the cash balance on this one. So this is the tax rate that we want to advertise for the difference between our anticipated expenditures and the current revenue. So that tax rate will fill in that gap there in our budget. Taxes pay for that. And then the rainy day fund, you don't get anything for that. It doesn't affect your rate. Basically, it's your long-term savings, so there's no rate on that. And we only intend to put money in if we can. And actually, we're pretty at the percent we want to be in our rainy day fund right now, so that's a good position to be. All right, and so just kind of looking at that, these budgets help determine tax rate. And so some people look at these, and people that are into tax rates, which isn't very many, may look at that and be concerned it's high. But we always advertise high. So this is last year what we proposed, and then what was actual right here. And then so right now we're proposing our debt service is up what we're proposing because we are paying off an old debt this year still from the old building, the old bonds. and paying new debt with our new building project. So we're having a little bit more debt to pay off this year because we have old debt, which will then fall off. I think we got one more payment old debt, and then we got new debt coming in. So it's a little bit higher that we need to ask for. And then the operations fund, we're actually asking less than last year. But you add that together from last year, what we asked for or requested was $1.68 out of 100, and then ended up being less than $1 per 100. And then here, so we don't know what it actually will be. The government will tell us that, the DLGF. So we advertise, we request high so we can get our maximum amount we need to fund our school. Because you cannot raise the tax rate once you advertise. So we want to get those tax, ask that so we can get our maximum amount so we can fund everything in our school we want to. And it's affected our tax rates determined by the budget. So we, in those previous slides, I told you what our anticipated budget is. Divide it by the assessed value, multiply 100. That's how we come up with the tax rate. And we use the AV, the assessed value is the value of all our property. We use that at 190 million. So that those tax rates are basically the budgets I just showed you divided by our assessed value, multiplied by 100, and then that those are the taxes we get, the levy, the amount of money we get to fund our school in the operations of the debt service fund. Any questions on that? So the tax rates, our assessed value, we don't know what that is either. That's where there's a lot of guess. So we're just guessing. We guess low on that. It makes if the assessed value is higher, the tax rate will come down, and it probably will be higher. But we estimate lower just to be safe because we can't raise that tax rate. Asking permission to advertise the 2022 budget, CPF plan, and bus replacement. Technically, the CPF plan and bus replacement is now a part of the operations fund. But when they changed the laws on those funds, they didn't say that you didn't have to present your CPF or advertise your CPF. Even though it's a part of the operations, you still have to list that out separately. So I've done that on your, it's attached on your board docs. But any questions on that CPF plan or the bus replacement as well as the total budget? And for the record, I understand this way better this year than I did a year ago.
All right. Seeing no questions, and we have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I move it for.
All right, and a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? All right, thank you. And our last
one is we do this every year at this time. Last minute, we got a part-time math position in the high school and physics we're looking for. And Mike has some instructional assistant positions. Always at this time, most schools ask for permission to fill those positions prior to board approval. Obviously, we'll do the criminal background check before they work with kids, but approval will fill those positions before the start of the school year, before board approval.
Okay, have a recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll move we approve.
Okay, and a second? All right, and all in favor? All right, thank you. And do we have a superintendent's report?
Yeah, very similar to last month's, just kind of, we kind of went over the reentry plan, so I just put some summaries there. Just keep an eye on that right now. Again, masks and vaccinations are optional. We'll deal with COVID situation in the manner appropriate for Nurse McIntosh. It's listed on our website. We are going to be in person and virtual learning. I did mention that with the reentry plan, but virtual learning, there is an option if families are interested, but it must be cleared and it must be an application process with the building level administrator. So talk to them if they're interested in virtual learning. Registration start tomorrow online and live on Monday and Tuesday. So get people out there in the community, get your students registered, and we're ready to start school on August 10th. Mike kind of gave a summary of the building project. It'll be ready. It may not be as pretty as we want it. We got some cabinets that are in back order. So there could be some classrooms that don't have their cabinets yet, but they'll have desks, they'll have a board, we'll have teachers, and those things will come into place. And hopefully we'll want to remember that things weren't in place by, within a month.
I got a feeling my teachers are gonna remind me.
So I have a
I
question.
honestly
Yeah.
think the only thing that we have on back order as far as the classroom is concerned are stools for our art room. Everything else is supposed to be here.
Yeah.
As far as our office area, it's stuff that's ordered, it's just not here yet.
Yeah.
So.
For and this may have already happened or maybe in the works, I have no idea. For the 5th graders that's moving up to what will be our middle school now, will they be having like some kind of orientation where they get to
Yes.
kind of do a walkthrough?
Next Wednesday.
Okay,
And I invited the 7th graders because they missed out on it last year. So some of them want to come. Yeah, next Wednesday. And my student mentors, I've got 12 student mentors, juniors and seniors. We're meeting Monday at 11:30 in here. Well, maybe not in here. We'll meet somewhere. And because they're going to lay it out. They're going to put it on, they'll have all the breakout sessions and that. And then Wednesday at 9, and I've sent out 2 or 3 reminders, and I'll send another one tomorrow. Wednesday at 9, we'll meet in the Commons at 8:30, and then have some icebreakers, split them up into groups, and then the mentors will take them, and we'll do that till
Great.
noon, and then they'll have pizza. So yes,
all right.
And just so you guys know, I mean, I've had a lot of questions about whether or not we'd have a meet the teacher night and all that, and I really wanted to have one to start school. But with the construction and it being delayed, we are gonna be really pushing to get these classrooms put together. And my teachers are already just all kinds of worried about you coming in their room and it not being ready. You know what I mean? And by ready, they mean all their stuff up on the walls, and they want to be
Decorations
ready.
and all the things, yeah.
So we looked at possibly doing that, a week or 2 in, bringing people in. Now, with that said, if I have a parent or somebody that wants to come, see, I would be more than happy to walk them through that room, the hallways to show them where their kids are going to be. That was one of the biggest complaints I heard last year with COVID was parents just didn't know where their kids were in the building. Some parents do because they've been in the building, but some of them haven't. And that was probably one of my biggest complaints that I had, but at the time, we just couldn't allow it. So Meet the Teacher Night will be coming. I don't have a date for it yet. I really wanted to do it on the 9th, and I got a feeling we're gonna be sweating this next week. Let's put it that way. All right,
not just
so
because it's hot.
not just because it's hot. No, we're gonna be sweating.
Well, in the middle school, and literally, teachers just got approved tonight to
Yep.
complete that middle school team. And I was talking to Lexi, and she talked about how they got together and talked about just,
Wednesday.
yeah,
Yep,
they
sure
got together and all met, and just want to have some common things about how the middle school is going to run, and how they're going to be a team, and how they're consistent with expectations of students.
And that was all teacher driven. I was at Edgewood Junior High for we had makery training. And, either way, one of them emailed me and said, hey, do you care if we get together and, we want to do this? And 6, 7, and 8 all got together. And
Nice.
it is hammered out what they want to do in advisory. We're going to kind of steal something from Mike and the character traits. We're going to implement that into the middle school, and really just I love the impromptu collaboration, teamwork. That's good.
Yeah, and administrators and I met and just talked about the presentations, the scores, and just kind of focus for this year. And not rocket science, it's what schools are about, but student learning. Evidence of student learning, whether it's a presentation, whether it's a test, whether it's a explanation. I've always said, you can't explain it, you don't know it, right? So just demonstration of student learning, it's the number one reason why schools exist, but then also life skills. When I talk to employers, when I was principal at South Adams, I had local employers come in and talk about,
Sorry.
what careers they
Done.
could do. Done. All
It was a BTS alarm, I promise.
What
Sorry.
careers you can do, but I just talked to 2 local employers and said, here's what I found out and learned from our local employers. Said, all right, if we can get people to show up,
I know.
literally to show up consistently, come to work, be on time, follow instructions when they're there. And they said, pass a drug test and get along with their coworkers. They usually, they can keep a job and really probably work their way up in the business. Now, Steve, you're a business owner, you echo some of those things at least.
Especially now.
Yeah. And so we talk about life skills and prepping our kids for life. I mean, it can be about as simple as that. I mean, that seems simple to some of us who show up every day and do all those things, but that's what I consistently heard from employers. And so we talk about creating independent citizens that are ready for life. That they want to focus on those basic life skills. Obviously, student learning and life skills are 2 big focus, and as we're going into this year. So that's all I got.
All right, then. And do we have any board member comments and items for future agendas? All right, our future meetings will be regular scheduled school board meeting on August the 26th and September the 30th at 7 p.m. both nights. And this meeting is adjourned now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.